Well, hey everybody, I'm Jenna. I am also going to be talking about my body. I have a very special relationship with a certain part of my body, and it's been a resentful one for most of my life until recently. And it's still something that I'm working with, but I'm starting to relish this part of myself and really look to her and listen to her in a way that I'd never done before. So I've really just tried to smush her and forget about her for a long time. And she lives in this vicinity. I know a lot of us have stories about this area of our bodies. For me, this is a story about my bone. So I have a breast story too, so the breast is going to come into play as well, but this is mostly about my bone. So I would like to say that when I approached consciousness on this planet, I'm guessing this is about age 5, I recognized some things. And within myself, I recognized that I was a super self-conscious girl. I was very precocious. I recognized that my body made a difference in just the world. I knew that because I had a vagina, I wasn't allowed to do certain things that my older brother was allowed to do. And if I were to do it, I had to be supervised, and I was super angry about that. And then I was also picking up on that because I had a vagina, that parts of me were not allowed also, being that if I wanted to be too loud, that was actually not okay in public. And if I wanted to be shy in public, that was not okay because that was rude. And that if I wanted to fart on command in public, that was also not okay, whereas that was like my favorite skill. I'd been honing that. And then I was also picking up on, and we can all attest to this, ladies, like picking up on this whole male gaze thing. All I knew was that I did not like older men. I felt looked at, I wasn't asking for it. It made me feel really weird. And then at the same time, I loved attention. I wanted it, but I wanted it when I wanted it. And then also about the body, I realized I had a bony thing here, but it was just my bone. Like there was really nothing occurring in my brain about why it was wrong or anything like that. So the bone, my bone, it's actually something that I didn't even Google until a few years ago, like what this thing is that I have. But I have a breastbone that protrudes rather than like lays flat or goes inward. And upon looking it up, I discovered it actually has a name. It's more commonly, if it's referred to at all, it's referred to as pigeon chest. And it's super, super rare. This is not something that most people have. And then if it is that it occurs in people, it's 90% of the time, 90% of the time it happens in boys and not girls. So I am a super rare bird. That is what I picked up on a few years ago. But I knew this even at the young age. So I think it was around 8 that I really started to do the whole cross-comparing thing, like seeing how my body measured up to everybody else's or didn't measure up. And I was in swim classes, I was in dance class, I was chest gazing all the time, seeing if anybody had this bone that I had, and nobody did. So I was already trying to keep it hidden as best as I could, knowing that there was something wrong about being different in the body. And yet, you know, I'm at the same time, like there's a consciousness to my identity's forming. I'm liking the idea of being unique. I'm forming myself in these ways in all the other realms of my life except for in my body. I'm hiding my bone as best as I can, super conscious of my body being different, but I don't think that anybody really notices it yet until I'm called out by my family. And that's when it's the worst, like when it's family that you adore, they're your cousins, you look up to them. And I was having the sleepover around this time in my life with my cousins Emily and Rachel. And I was sleeping overnight with them in Minnesota, which was far away from my Illinois town. So I was there like cooped up for the week. And my older cousin Emily, as I'm getting into my PJs one night, she like rushes over to my chest, points at my bone and starts screeching at me, like yelling, like, what is your thing? What is that thing? And like making a fuss about my body. And I do what I do at that time, you know, which is try to distract the situation, etc. I get on my PJs, I'm doing something else outrageous with my chest to distract the situation. I have a lot of body tricks. But it's just then, you know, that it really lays into me that like I have a difference that when people see it, it is not only not accepted, but it's also like, whoa, it's like weird, it's called out on, it is laughed at, it is not okay, it is not a lovable part of me. And also around this time, being super sensitive as well, I'm trying to find coping mechanisms. And I can recall that my favorite coping mechanisms were like, you know, I'd go outside to the little stump in my backyard and I'd perform rituals and spells to try and heal the planet, try and heal all the animals and humans that are sad like me. I'd also do very Jekyll and Hyde things. Like, I was also a terrible human in the fact that, like, I would do surgery. I would perform surgery on slugs, literally nail them to the trees. Like, I needed to inflict pain to make sure that my pain was real, you know, like see it in a bug to make my own pain evident, I guess. And then I also started to develop certain, like, nighttime rituals, so very OCD style. I would make sure that all the things in my house, after everybody went to sleep, had partners. So I'd make sure that, like, any papers were pushed together and crumbs had a little friend, and I just couldn't let anything be by itself. So that's me at 8. And now we're gonna fast forward quite a bit to high school. So my bone, y'all, it is still prominent as fuck. Prominent, it's growing with the rest of my body, and my boobs are not growing. And I'm petrified, because also at this time, mind you, I've already decided I'm going to be an actress, okay? And no actresses have funky bones. They don't. And I don't even need boobs for the sake of boobs. I just need something to cover my bones. So I'm, like, praying every night for boobs. I also believe that I might still get them. I'm a super late bloomer. My family's crazy like that. Like, older brother didn't spurt off until sophomore year of college. So it's possible for me. But I'm praying for this thing. I'm, like, covering up my bone as best as I can. I'm wearing bras that bruise my body because they're not really sitting on my bone correctly, and it's just uncomfortable. Any sort of place where I might be revealed to my peers is petrifying. So locker rooms, show choir rooms, lifeguarding sucks ass. I'm a lifeguard. I'm wearing, like, a Speedo suit, and you can't, you know, put any padding there or anything, and people are doing, like, fake CPR on your chest to practice, as you do with lifeguards, and, like, I know they're touching my bone, they see it, they're not calling it out, I'm not calling it out, it's really weird. And so I am, again, coping best I can. At this time, I've also developed a new technique, which is that my coping at night has turned into binge eating. So binge eating for me was much more effective as far as, like, the serotonin levels that would be created by eating sugar. But my technique was, like, you know, after everybody went to bed, I would binge eat mostly sugar, totally abandon my body, allow it to, like, just, you know, accumulate sugar until the point where it felt heavy, and then I'd pass out. And then the next day I would restrict. So, like, it became this pattern for most of my teens and 20s. And so yeah, high school, still no boobs at the end of high school. So this is unfortunate, goes against my plan. So now I'm in college. It is junior year. Depression has, like, reached an apex, so has anxiety. And I am so freaking conscious of my body at every moment, unless I'm, like, literally forgetting that I'm in this body and I don't think that I can handle it anymore. And I know that it really has to do with this underlying belief of that I'm so unlovable. Like, I'm untouchable, can't be intimate, like, can't be an actor, like, nothing's gonna work out with the body that I have. And how we do, I'm not sure, but, like, you know, we know about breast implants, right? And, like, even as a young person, like, and it seems like a far away thing. You don't know how you'd actually get to it, but you know that it exists. And I'd been saving up money for the last few years. I've been doing lifeguarding in the summer or waitressing, and I had money. And I decided my junior year of college that I was going to get breast implants. And so I shared this with my family, or with my parents, I should say. And my parents, I was expecting, like, a total wall from them. And yet what I got was support. It was actually the most beautiful thing to have experienced at that time. It was, like, the real first time that I felt like my parents, like, came in and really experienced what was going on with me. And so it was figured out that I would be having the surgery during my winter break of my junior year. My mom stepped in, we went to go see the surgeon together, really discussed, like, what sort of implants I would get. We decided on underneath the muscle implants, because those are actually the ones that maybe possibly preserve your glands so that you can still possibly feed, like, a baby if you're breastfeeding. And they're also better if you don't have any breast development, which I did not, because they don't look as fake. And they also, though, being underneath the muscle, though, let me mind you, they, like, sit underneath your muscle. So as your muscle moves, so does your breasts, like, in a very sort of men pectorally sort of a way. So I can make my boobs dance too. That's another part. Now I'd be willing to share. Like, for years I'd be like, oh my god, no. I would be exposing. But so, you know, there's this stuff, you know, happening. I finally go in for the surgery. It's winter break. It's to be done in secret. I'm not supposed to tell people. My parents obviously have a lot of shame about this. Of course, I have a lot of shame about this that I've inherited as well. And it also goes against all of my wants. Like I had really valued authenticity. I really valued not being a sheep, not feeling like I needed to do something in order to actually be loved, fit in, etc. And here I was, like, kind of undergoing the biggest thing that I could have possibly done to kind of, fit in. And so, yeah, I get these breast implants, and my sister knows about it, though. She has a vagina. She's allowed to know these things. And I go back to school, and to be honest, this is the weird part, right? Like, I go back to school, and for the most part, people don't know about it. Like, my peers don't. I had done a pretty good job of, like, distancing people for the most part. I was a very busy person. Nobody really knew me up close for the many reasons that I made those walls. And I was always wearing padded bras anyways, and I was also starting to gain weight at this time because I was taking on antidepressants for the first time, birth control pills because I had no period. My body was, like, completely in a standstill about life. And then coupled with binge eating and things like that, like, my body was taking on weight. So of course boobs grow when you're gaining weight. So again, nobody presumes. And also, who gets breast implants their junior year of college in Chicago? Nobody. Like, nobody. But then on the flip side, I am getting attention from the world for these breasts. And I'd never had breasts, and I'm angry about it because I had known myself as like a boobed-less girl. I wore little boys' t-shirts. I wanted that identity still too, and it was just this, and like, you work so hard to make all the other parts of yourself valuable, and now all of a sudden, like, the boobs are just the focus, and it's so infuriating. And doctors, and I still think that this is something that's happening, but like, doctors will encourage anybody going underneath the knife to like go as big as they can, because they've had too many experiences of women coming back and wishing that they'd gone bigger, that's the sort of story that they tell to people coming in. And I'd wanted smaller than that, and I got smaller than that, but still on my body it's perky. So here we go. And so that's me in college. I'm having a really big out-of-body experience. At the same time, getting out of a gray period. Antidepressants do help in that way. And now I'm entering into life. So I'm in Chicago. I'm finding my body in a new way. I'm like, different parts of me are melding together. I'm dancing. I'm a hip-hop dancer. I'm like off pills. I'm allowing my body to find a new metabolism. It's really empowering. And then I moved to Los Angeles, and then this is when life like really starts for me. So Los Angeles was like a big statement for me. Like, you move here because you're standing for all the things that you know about yourself and believe in yourself. And my body started to reflect all of those beliefs as well. So I started finding, again, just like this fusion and this self-love that I hadn't maybe known since I was really little. I'm still super self-conscious of my body, aware of how it's different, aware of how I might be found out, but it's something that I'm owning more. And I'm falling in love as I'm out here in Los Angeles. Those experiences are really beautiful. Also very, horrifying at other moments. And I'm picking up as well that, like, I'm a very natural appearing girl, and people presume that then I'm all natural, and when I'm not, it's a disappointment to them, and I'm going through a period of feeling like I need to apologize for my body and my choices. For the boys, I don't know. Anyways, but so there's ups and downs, but through it all, like, there's a lot of transformation, there's a lot of beauty, there's a lot of, building in my creative life and career. And then though, also I just a one quickie ad. I know this is so long already, but so the quickie ad is just that, like, I did also go through this experience of a lot of my binge eating and depression and wear and tear on the body, like, really did make it ample material to, like, break out into autoimmune deficiency. So I had that going on for a number of years, and I really healed my body from it. And the healing process also made my body really just thin, because I was eating foods that didn't inflame my body, which then made for me to also fit very easily into this industry standard that we all, have if we're in the acting world out here. So I was fitting into this mold somehow, even though I was not like everybody else. But come 29, the walls really started to, like, break down in me. Like, I was at this point where I felt like I should know better. I'd gone through the transformations, you know what I mean? It's like, I have the tools. Why am I still hating on myself? Or like, why am I backsliding? Like, I was coveting past times, like past transformations, and not allowing myself to be in one right now. And I was having a hard time aging. I felt like I was aging out of my dreams. I hadn't actually projected anything into my life past the age of 28, so I was like living in this wild, wild west of like, well, now what the fuck? Because I'm out here to like heal the world is really what it's all about, but I'm not there yet. and now what? I've just been playing somebody else's game. So I'm having a lot of just feeling like a wreck about all of that. And I fall in love though with somebody during this time, kind of during like a little lull in all of that self-attack. And this person is the person that really changes my life for the most horrible, the most horrible thing really ended up being a really beautiful thing for me. And that is that this lover happened to be a journaler like me. And there was one morning when we were, having our sleepover, and he is off for the day. I asked him if I can borrow some of his journal paper because I hadn't brought my own journal to journal. And he says, okay. I go into his journal, open up the journal to rip out some paper, but I happen to see my name at the top of this one page. And so of course I'm gonna read this page. And that page is the page that he wrote all of the why around why he hates having sex with me and hates my body and hates my breasts. And so that was like a whoa, you know what I mean? Like a whoa, whoa. Did I just read that? Yes, I did. That's my worst nightmare written on a piece of paper. And but the thing about what this revealed to me was that like I'm reading words that if I didn't believe it, right, I could have just like brushed it off. Like, that's not real, that's a projection, cool, I can move on. But the truth of it was that was all of the self-attack that I was still giving myself, that I'd been so convinced of that I was done with. I thought I was my own best friend at that point, like I'd been over that hump already. No, so it was just basically all of what I was still giving myself, but in somebody else's voice. And so from that point until now, it's been, I was wanting another transformational period, right? So I got one. So it's been like 4 years of the most like excavating discovery that I've ever had in my life so far. And it's really meant me going deep, deep, deep into all the wounds, all the places that I had, maybe even just healed once, but not really dug into the heart of or allowed to speak as much as they needed to speak. And I really started naming my wounds. So my wounds all have names now. My bone is my bone. My boobs are actually Moonbeam and Musk. A few years ago. It was a beautiful night. And it's just been that like, it's all about sharing the vulnerability and sharing the stories and sharing the wounds as well that makes the healing actually there. Because you can't be who you're supposed to be unless you're witnessed, which brings me back to like the little girl in me who knew that I wanted to be seen. All of what I've ever done is because I wanted to be seen. As much as that sounded selfish to my family for so long, it's something that I've now been able to own. Like, I want to be seen, all of me. Like, I don't want to hide any of this anymore. Like, I'm starting for the first time in my life to like just project this stuff. Like, even if it's uncalled for in conversation, I am talking about my boobs. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I just really want to get rid of the stigmas around these things. I want to start podcasts about bodies, whatever. Like, anything I can do, I can't shut up about it. And it's still, a vulnerable area for me. I'm still working it out in the kinks of like, sexual relationships, etc. But the heart of it is that, like, I think we all have an experience at some point in our lives where we feel like our body's betraying us. Like, we're born into a body that somehow is making life really hard, right? Like, we're born into a body and the challenges there are hard. And yet what I've switched my mindset into believing, and not just believing, I know it's true, is that I've chosen this body. I chose it from the start. I chose this body. I chose my family. I chose the time that we're all in right now. I chose all of these challenges because that's exactly what I want to be living right now. All of it, which means that I'm also everything that I've chosen. I'm the breast that I've chosen. I'm whatever other adornments I've chosen. All of that's my identity. My identity gets and has every right to be different every single moment, as long as I'm there and choosing it and not abandoning myself. So that's what I'm coming to. And then also the fact that like these sorts of spaces are the most healing spaces on this planet right now. So thanks for being one of those spaces and being a part of my journey. Thank you.